All right now.
About a month ago, Representative Beto did a walk a day with my sister April. Later that day, he visited our family home where he spent the evening talking to us on how we can fight for a better quality of life. Please join me in welcoming Representative Beto from El Paso, Texas. Thank you.
Congressman, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. Hey, good to see you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi. How are you? Good to see you. Hi there. Hey. Hey, everybody. Muy buenos días a todos. Gracias por recibirnos. Muy bien. Gracias. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me out. And to Melissa and April Perales, who in Las Vegas last month welcomed me not just into their home, but into their lives. As Melissa said, I spent the day with April, who's a home care worker, as she served her client, Siobhan, who was a woman in need of help, severely disabled, had been until recently living in her car, because that's the only place she could afford to live, now had an apartment where she could continue to raise her family, and now had April, who would help her with almost every single task in her home. And I got to work with April on that day, scrubbing the floors in the kitchen, cleaning the carpet. The vacuum cleaner was broken, so she had borrowed a shop vac, and so on hands and knees with the hose and the attachment, cleaning that carpet, washing the dishes, all of those things that we know and think about when we describe what a home care worker does. But what was even more powerful and made an even greater impression on me was the way that April was there for Siobhan in those ways that may not be defined in her job description. The emotional connection that she made with her, reminding her about her doctor's visits, or just being there almost as a therapist would be there to listen to Siobhan as she continued to struggle to do well for herself and her family. I want to, as a candidate, I want to, as a president, I want us as a country to be worthy of April and her service and her sacrifice, her kindness and the grace that she shows each and every single day. And I want to acknowledge just how tough it is for her to be that gracious and graceful and kind and amazing. She's raising 4 children of her own, one of whom has disabilities as well. But because she's only paid $11 an hour, she's also working a second job, and more nights than not, she gets home too late to be able to see her kids, who are raised in part by her father, who moved from California to be in Las Vegas to help her with her family. I want to make sure that her example, the inspiration that she has provided to me, what SEIU is doing all over this country, not just for SEIU members, and not just for other members of other unions, and not just for U.S. citizens, but for everyone who works in this country to have dignity, to be treated with respect, to be able to live to their full potential and reveal their full promise for themselves, for their families, and for America. That's why I'm running for president, and that's why I want to serve you as president. Thank you all. Gracias.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
So we've got a few questions for you.
Wonderful.
Hi, my name is Jamalia Fairley, and I'm with the Fight for 15 Florida, from Orlando, Florida. And during my time, I'm also a McDonald's worker. I've been working for McDonald's for 4 years. And since I've been working at McDonald's, I've been sexually harassed on several occasions. And I know of other McDonald's workers as well who has been sexually harassed. And I want to know, oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
You're doing great.
Come on, take your time. Great. Take your time. We got you.
Since then, they said that they are now training McDonald's workers on how to handle sexual harassment. But the truth is, like, McDonald's really doesn't care about training us on how to handle sexual harassment within their workplaces. Like, we know as people, like, McDonald's, like, need more than just training for workers like us. We need a union, because with a union, we could speak up about being sexually harassed. We could speak up about, we could speak up about retaliation towards us in our workplaces. And like, I'm here today because I feel like empowered to be speaking to you guys like about being sexually harassed at my workplace by a coworker, because today is like I feel like I'm a voice for all McDonald's workers who has been sexually harassed. And like, I want to say that with this union, I feel like I have so much support from people that it gives me the strength that I need to speak up and let like the world know what's going on in McDonald's, and that their corporation needs to step up about sexual harassment, not just the training. They need to join unions, to form unions, so that we could all speak up and like, I want to say that we're now here joining other organizations so that we could build build more like power, pretty much. Power in people.
That's a good word. I like that.
People power. Okay. And I wanted to ask you, as president, how would you ensure stronger policies for McDonald's workers, like protection for McDonald's workers like me?
Yeah, it's really good. I think you used the right word, power. And what you just did was so extraordinarily powerful, so courageous to share your personal story, as tough as that might be, and to bring us all in beyond the numbers and the statistics and the level that a wage is set. You're asking to be treated like a human being, to be respected, to have your dignity not just respected, not just protected, but fought for by the union that you are a member of. Your right to organize beyond $15 an hour, which is so extraordinarily important. Beyond universal, guaranteed, high-quality health care. So you don't have to worry about seeing a doctor. You can just focus on your job, on your family, on rising to your full potential. Your desire, which should be a human right that every one of us should be able to expect in this country, to be treated with respect by your coworkers, by your managers, and when you are not, to be listened to be heard, to be successful in overcoming what has happened and holding those who violated that trust accountable and responsible to ensure that justice is delivered at the end of the day. So as president, I'm going to make sure that you and other McDonald's employees can organize, can join a union, can fight for all of those things, to fight for yourself, to be treated with that dignity and respect that you deserve as an American, as a human being, to make sure that by law, there is no longer an opportunity to discriminate based on the color of your skin, on your gender. In America in 2019, where women on average are paid 80 cents on the dollar, where African American women are paid 61 cents on the dollar, where Latinas are paid 53 cents on the dollar, by law, ending that discrimination and ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment so that constitutionally there can never be a question that you're going to be treated equal to every man in every part of your life. So I'm grateful for what you're doing. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to fight for all employees to make sure that you have that respect and those protections in the workplace. Thank you for asking the question. Excellent work. Yeah, really appreciate it. So good. Yeah. Sarah.
Morning.
Good
My
morning.
name is Sarah Campos. I work for the Oregon Department of Human Services, and I'm a proud member of SEIU 503. I'm worried about the impact climate change is going to have on my life and my family's future. I'm also concerned that climate change perpetuates inequality. Oftentimes, low-income people and communities of color are disproportionately affected, whether it's poor health due to increased asthma or low-quality drinking water, or the cost of having to rebuild homes after destruction from floods, forest fires, or other extreme weather. How will you take bold action on climate change and hold corporations accountable for dumping pollution in Black, brown, and low-income communities? And will you stand with us as we create a green economy that focuses on working families?
Yeah, great question. Sarah, thank you. And the answer to your second question is yes. And point taken on your opening statement about who's bearing the brunt of climate change right now. We announced our plan to confront climate change before it is too late here in California, the first policy proposal that I unveiled as a candidate for the presidency. And we did so in the Central Valley of California, just after we had been at Yosemite Park. And I want to make the connection between the two places to further the point that you laid out at the outset. So at Yosemite, we got to see these sequoias, these magnificent magisterial organisms that have been alive for 2,000 years. They were born when Caesar ruled the planet. They have survived every single kind of threat that's been thrown at them for 2 millennia, and now are succumbing to climate change. These oldest of organisms are beginning to die. In the Central Valley, you have kids who are days old because of the quality of the air or lack thereof, because of the quality of the water or lack thereof, have an infant mortality rate that is absolutely alarming. So the very youngest among us and the oldest on this planet both succumbing at the same time. And you're absolutely right. The best predictor of your proximity to pollution, the front lines of climate change, is the color of your skin and the lack of income or wealth that your family has. So investing in the resiliency of lower income communities and communities of color, pulling those polluters out from their midst, which will decrease the rising rates of asthma and heart disease that we see right now, the toxins in the lives of our fellow Americans that force them to succumb to cancers and MS and other diseases that would otherwise be unavoidable, is a central plank of our policy, investing billions of dollars in order to do that. And then to your other point, freeing ourselves from a dependence on fossil fuels and fully embracing renewable wind and solar and the high wage, high skill, high value jobs which must be organized and represented by unions that will come along with them to get to net zero greenhouse gas emissions as soon as we possibly can, because it is the only way that this planet, this community right here in Los Angeles, my hometown of El Paso, yours in Oregon, is going to be able to support human life going forward. This is the mother of all tests for every single one of us, 10 years within which to act. And all of us must be engaged, no half steps, no half measures, and certainly not half the country. And first in line, in priority, are those who have been last in line for protection against these changes. That's going to be my priority as president. Thank you for asking. Thanks, Sarah.
We got a third question.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Mi nombre es Ámbar Arellano y soy janitor en Seattle, Washington. Estoy orgullosa de ser miembro de SEIU Local 6. Limpio oficinas y ayudo a mis compañeros como líder del edificio donde estoy trabajando. Cuando yo empecé a laborar en la compañía donde estoy, ellos me dijeron que mi sindicato era malo y que si yo hablaba con ellos, podría perder mi empleo. Se aprovecharon de que no sabía mis derechos. Muchos trabajadores de diferentes países y razas trabajan limpiando oficinas, escuelas u hospitales, pero hay muchas compañías que se aprovechan del estatus migratorio para mantener los salarios bajos, no otorgarnos un seguro de salud y un sindicato. So, mi pregunta es, ¿qué haría usted para que las compañías como la mía nos deje de intimidar y todos podamos tener un sindicato?
Gracias. Primero, gracias para la pregunta y estar aquí y para esta oportunidad estar con usted. Tengo mucho orgullo en el trabajo que está haciendo en este momento, en su trabajo, pero también con el sindicato de SEIU. Yo pienso que hay dos lados. El lado de la corporación o la compañía o el negocio y el lado del obrero o la obrera, la trabajadora. Yo estoy en el lado de los trabajadores aquí en este país, en los sindicatos, en los derechos de obtener un salario mínimo con dignidad. El ejemplo es $15 por hora y no podemos estar bajo de eso. Queremos aumentar aún más de allí. Necesitamos cuidado de salud para cada persona, cada miembro de cada comunidad como un derecho humano y vamos a hacerlo como presidente. Y también el derecho de ser parte de un union o un sindicato como SEIU y para luchar para todos. La gente que están aquí, que tienen ciudadanía, pero también la gente que no tienen ciudadanía. Los migrantes, casi 11 millones que están aquí, contribuyendo al éxito de este país, al éxito de nuestras comunidades, que están asegurando nuestras comunidades y este país también. Y imagine qué podemos hacer si ellos tienen ciudadanía también. La gente que están trabajando en las fábricas de pollo in Mississippi. We were just at these chicken processing plants, the site of the largest single state raid in the history of this country by ICE. 700 workers with one of the toughest jobs in America who fled the deadliest countries on the planet, rounded up like animals, hog-tied, put in detention, deported, leaving their U.S. citizen children here, living in fear and torture. We've got to organize not just for U.S. citizens, not just for members of unions, but for everyone who works in this country, including undocumented immigrants. And that's why I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing. I am on your side, and I always will be on your side. Le agradezco. Gracias.
So you get 1 minute to close out.
I just want to conclude on a note of gratitude for all the work that you're doing. I mentioned going to Mississippi, Canton and Forest, and visiting with those who work in those chicken processing plants, who do not think that they have a champion, do not even know that we know that they exist. The work that you're doing for them, the work that you're doing for April and Melissa Perales, the work that you're doing for those employees at Medical University of South Carolina, 50 years after they led a walkout from that hospital to organize for workers' rights, especially workers of color, and 50 years later, those workers in that hospital can still not afford the health care that they are providing. To be with SEIU members in Pittsburgh, as we were last week, organizing at UPMC, you are doing the most important work in this country right now. And I want you to know that when the choice is between corporations and people, corporations and workers, corporations and the dignity in our lives, I stand with you each and every single time. Thank you for having us out.
Thank you so much.
Les agradezco. Muchas gracias. Y tenga buen día. Gracias. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Grateful. Yep. Thanks a lot.
This way.
Going this way?
Thank you, thank you, thank you.